Raywin Pickering, a farmer who does comedy.
And I'm Adrian Pickering, an actor
And yeah,
of the
we're
world. And
sisters.
we are sisters.
And this is our podcast.
I'm already broken.
Is this a job? Yeah, where we break.
Where we break down
We break
publicly.
We're broken.
And then someone has to put us back together.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's not what we're doing. No.
Because we like talking to creative artists or
Yes.
just people that are in a creative field and they're trying to make it work.
Well, they are making
is
it work.
hard. Well, yeah, hopefully they are.
How do you do this long term?
Because it's really hard.
We find it hard.
How do you do it? How do you do it?
How do you do it and lead enriching lives?
Yeah.
Or find some meaning.
Yeah. And also pay the rent.
And also pay the rent. And also make other people laugh. It's a lot to do.
It's really hard.
It's a lot
And
to
we want to
squeeze
know
in.
why. We want to know how they do it. We're going
Yes.
to talk to writers, actors, comedians,
Singers, songwriters,
filmmakers,
directors.
artists. And we're just going to ask them, is this a job?
Is this a job? Wait. Raywin, is this a job?
Podcasting is a job. We did
Yes.
it. We did it.
Jackpot.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so Adrienne, have you had an enriching, I don't know, week or a few days?
Making the world a better place.
Yeah. Are you on an up or a
know
down trajectory?
I'm feeling like I'm on a bit of an up because, and I've been wondering why. And, I think it's because Chris and I moved this really big rock in our backyard on the weekend.
Okay.
And it sounds so stupid, but
Like together?
yeah.
Like
So
you
we
went
have all
1, 2,
these
3
like
left?
boulders, which
Yeah.
coincidentally we just like kind of found in our backyard when there was this like stormwater repairs that were happening, and so the dudes with the bobcat like lifted all these
they are
rocks
huge
out,
rocks.
and they're huge, and so they've been in this pile, and we've sort of been feeling like overwhelmed by this huge pile of rocks, and our kids climbing all over them, and are they going to injure themselves? And and it's kind of felt, I think it's sort of felt overwhelming.
Relief.
And we
Yeah. You
managed
had
to move this really big one
Isn't it funny?
into
You had
a
this
spot.
burden, this heavy burden that you just couldn't figure out.
Right? It's kind
You
of
gotta move
strange
the
that
rock.
something's so simple. But so we've mapped out this place where we're going to put a fire pit.
Yeah.
And we're going to use the rocks to make a fire pit. And we got the first big rock in, and it was
girl.
really hard. I actually didn't know. Chris said it was going to
heavy?
be really
Yeah.
hard, and I thought, come on. It was
Limber
really
up.
hard. It was really hard. And it took us a day, but we got this rock in. And I
Wow.
was lying in bed that night with kind of like a stupid grin on my face. and I
Like
was just
rubbing
feeling quite
Voltaren gel
good.
into your back. And
No, I was actually feeling quite happy.
oh, that's
And
good.
I realised it's the rock.
It's the
like
rock.
just one
Gotta get that weight off.
sort of, I don't know if it's a metaphor for life or it's just that it's like just one thing that has been moved. It's not even just one thing. It was this really big rock. And it's
Okay.
just sort of like made me feel like we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, you're doing
And it's okay to
something.
move slowly because things do move.
If you're strong enough.
If you're strong enough and you force them to
Yeah.
over a day of
Yeah.
hard labour.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess maybe that's the
And to just
moral
do
of
it.
my story. But to just
Stop
do
putting it off. You
Well,
just
it's not we've been putting it off. We've
Well,
been
it
really
sounds
busy.
like it.
But I mean, anyway,
well, that's
I'm
good.
feeling pretty chipper about
That's
things.
great. That's great.
What about you, Raywin? How's life in Raywin Pickering land?
pretty good. Pretty good. I'm trying to think. Not really like a few ups as I'm writing like some sketches with some friends, which is
Nice one.
feeling good. Just about
Some human
just
friends
doing
or
it.
guinea
Yeah.
pigs or
Mostly
chickens?
human friends.
Human friends, yeah.
I mean, I do have many four-legged friends
I
as
know.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Ooh.
it's been feeling good.
Nice one. It's nice to
Yeah,
work with other
and just
people.
gigging.
'Cause
Yeah.
so much of your writing ends up being just you in that spare room
Yes.
at home, like thrashing out ideas.
Yeah. Or really late at night and trying to force. The other night was actually with like a group of 18-year-old. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but
It's a great age in many ways.
18-year-olds.
A lot of hormones.
18-year-olds, like Melbourne uni students who like I was talking about having a job and then I saw their blank faces.
You have to talk about having a job?
Yeah, well, like being like on
you
a farm.
plug the podcast?
On a farm, no. And they were looking at me with blank faces and I was like, does anyone, do you have a job? and they were like,
18.
no, I've never had
Not
a job.
wanted.
No. So anyway, I'm having to rewrite things to make it relatable. In like, well, sometimes you have to
right.
do
Like
things
some
as
of your
part of your
bits.
job.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's been an interesting week.
Know your audience
Just
is the moral of that story.
yeah. But anyway, it's been good, and and this has been fun. The podcast, and we've got a fun guest
We have
today.
a super fun guest and one of my dearest friends. We have Emily Tomlins in our studio today.
Woohoo! Hello,
so
Emily.
lucky to have.
Thanks for having me here.
So, Emily, you are a actor.
Started off as an actor and then now created an empire.
Whoa.
In the independent theatre. Well,
Succession
created
style,
an independent theatre.
Yeah, absolutely.
Independent
Wow.
theatre company.
It's cutthroat. Cutthroat business.
That's so yes.
But you
on a
also
few
do some
heads.
directing. You step on heads. You do some directing.
Wow.
You also mentor some people. You also
Wow.
teach, right?
Whoa. So the first thing that we've been asking you guests is with this myriad of jobs, how do you actually what do you put on the drop down menu when you're filling out government forms? What is your occupation? What do you have to settle for as like, I guess I'm this, but
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question, because if I get to write it, then these days I would say theatre maker,
Yeah.
and that kind of covers most of the things.
Interesting.
If I'm traveling and I'm going through like border patrol, and I'm
when you have to
Is that what it's called?
explain
Is it-
some kind of
Theatre maker is illegal in some
well, that's
countries,
right.
so
I've-
you
I've got
definitely
a-
wouldn't
traveling
put
with
that
some
down.
odd props
gotta
of like a
change
samurai
for my-
sword.
yeah, that's
like I
right.
swear this is for the theatre.
well, yeah, I have a funny story about that. But,
Oh really?
but well, a few years ago, I do a show with a company that I work with a lot, which is an amazing a company that makes theatre for young audiences.
Polyglot, right. I'm so glad you introduced them because I
great.
failed to in my introduction.
Right, yes. And I'm associate director there at the moment. But I've been an artist with them for like 16 years, and I do a lot of performing.
Oh, wow.
And one of our shows is called Ants. And we're coming back from somewhere, and the boxes said ants, but they're like giant boxes, like they're human-sized kind of like costumes like
Costumes
suits.
and ants, yeah.
And
They just said
they
ants.
got taken into customs. to
Wow.
kind of check that out.
Fire security.
Yeah,
Cannot bring in insects.
No, absolutely.
Well, imagine
not.
if
It's like
Barnaby Joyce had have got hold of those.
these days
no.
it's just costumes is just written on that box to save that. But it depends. Like if I'm traveling as a director or I'm traveling as an actor, then I'll write that on my thing. But if it's a pop down menu, then none of that,
Yes.
it's never there.
It's really
It's
hard
either
to find.
or it might be like entertainment, which just like
That's
really
true.
for some reason that really feels like fingernails on a blackboard to me.
Really?
Entertainment.
It often just says like entertainer,
Right,
doesn't it? Or performer or something.
Yeah,
No.
I guess I would tick performer,
Yeah.
but it's it doesn't really describe it.
What do you think makes it nails down a blackboard?
Oh, I don't know. It just feels like I'm doing jazz hands. Which is fine if that's what you want to be doing.
But it's just not accurate
that's not
to you.
Not usually, no.
You don't do a lot of jazz hands.
Have you seen me do jazz hands?
Well, you gesticulate quite well.
I do.
You've got good hands.
Thank you very
wow.
much. Yeah,
So
I have very loud.
Maybe you
Probably
can.
Well,
I
maybe
maybe you
it's
can do
a
jazz hands.
untapped
It's a
potential
new-
that I have. It's like true. Yeah, but I hate.
Yeah,
yeah. all
I
of
mean,
that stuff
we
is-
talk about it all the time. I particularly hate. You seem okay with it, but like calling yourself an artist. I don't know,
You
there's
seem
something-
okay with it.
You seem okay with it. Well, being an artist, don't you?
Well, I don't say I'm
Didn't
an
you have this-
artist.
Oh.
I say I'm an actor.
Oh, okay.
I mean, aren't I?
Aren't you an
Of course you are. What are you talking about?
The way you said, like, you seem like you're okay with it.
Sorry, I didn't
I feel
mean
like
to
I
be
am.
so. I thought we had this conversation. Maybe
I feel
I'm
we had this
misremembering.
understanding.
Okay.
It's an interesting thing though, like when you
Some
start
kind of, like,
talking
pretentiousness
about yourself
about
in that
it.
way.
Well, yes.
Well,
yeah.
you know, like just kind of remembering when, because you and I went to acting school together and kind of graduating and then going, when can I call myself an actor or an artist or whatever I am? You know, like, is it through the act of doing it? Is it through the act of getting paid for it?
Yes.
Do I say,
is it a member
I'm an
of
actor,
a union?
I'm a professional actor.
Or
you know,
I just do acting. So that's why I say like I do comedy because it's been it's been a bit of a talking point. But it's like it's hard. Like how do you like at what point do you class yourself as this profession if you're actually you're earning like very minimal, like it's considered a hobby.
Yeah. Someone once introduced themselves to me as a professional actor. And I remember kind of going like,
actually, that sounds really weird.
I had to sort of stifle a bit of like, because I was sort of like, I didn't know what it was in me.
Themselves
but
from
it was
the rest of the
amateur.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was maybe someone had said to them, "You're an amateur actor," or forever they themselves had felt like an amateur actor, and I think they'd crossed the threshold.
Oh wow!
And maybe had been paid for a job or something, and so then it was just like in their mind, it was fine to say, I'm a professional actor, which of course it is. Like,
of course,
I was interested in my own response to it.
Yeah, sure.
And it reminded me of that time. And you're right. I think it's when you don't have enough confidence and you don't, and how to be a member of a club when you're just starting out.
Yes, that's
is
right.
like kind of how do you earn that? How do you earn that right?
Yeah,
I guess like.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you're certainly a member of the club now.
Oh, thank you.
You're rusted on.
I've done my time. Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, all of the different things that you say, you kind of, you gauge your audience, I guess, sometimes as well.
True.
You know, like,
yes.
I mean, theatre maker to me is like, it does what it says on the box. Like it's two words that are really clear, but some people still have major trouble with that. It's like, so what does that actually mean? It's like, I make theatre. I just switch those words around and that's what I but what does that involve?
Could you say it in different words?
Would I have seen you in anything? It's like, oh my God.
Would I have seen you on the TV?
Yeah, would I have seen
Right.
Okay. Let's start again.
The TV isn't theatre. Like,
do you think that's also
different?
indicative of like how theatre itself is a bit niche maybe to a lot of people or just mysterious, I guess? Maybe, like
totally.
I'm probably using totally like stupid words for it, but
yeah.
Do you think it's accessible for everyone or?
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like I certainly, I think there is a certain part of theatre that is absolutely inaccessible to most people. Yeah. Including myself. Mostly I can't pay $100 to go to a night of theatre.
Expensive, isn't it?
Unless I'm in it or have a friend who's in it.
Yeah. Even if you're in it, you might only get one comp though, right?
Oh, right.
Something.
Yeah.
So
sure.
Really?
You couldn't even, we couldn't even go.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But
not that
you know,
we
the
would be your tickets.
Well,
I mean, you know,
no pressure. Now. Yeah,
just saying. All right. Sorry, just saying.
I'll add you to the list. But you know, but in terms of the work that I'm doing with Polyglot, for example, our whole thing is about accessible art for children and their families, and hopefully making a new generation of people who love live experiences. And so, you know, that's a different thing. Yeah. I kind of hope for the future that it is more accessible because, I'm very passionate about it.
Well, something I was just going to ask about is often when I talk about what you're doing, I ask about what you're doing, and you talk about some of the shows. It seems like the idea of theatre has actually changed, and and the space of a theatre, and that this idea of theatre of making theatre or telling a story ultimately can happen in all different places, and it's not this formal idea of, we've all got to go and sit down in a chair and, some of the great kind of theatre you're making is people with headsets on and, there's all
public spaces.
Yeah, in public spaces.
Yeah.
And can you talk about how you feel about that? Like, is that the sort of theatre that you just want to live in now?
Yeah, I mean, I still love it all. Like I do, there is something magic about that black box or that, like that kind of intimate space where you walk into that room and you can see someone spitting and you can hear their breath and you can feel the emotion right there.
Yeah, you can see the pulsing vein.
Yeah, absolutely. I love
beating
all of
sweat.
That. Yeah, that's always been magic to me and always will be. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity to see all the other possibilities as well, because a lot of people still don't feel like they are able to go into those spaces for a whole variety of reasons.
Yes.
And so being able to do something in a public space that somebody might just kind of happen upon, or, that a kid can kind of run in and out of, or, those kind of experiences, that it just makes the possibilities greater for us all to be able to experience that magic that I first felt, being privileged enough to be taken into a black box. So, yeah, I love it. And for kids in particular, sitting down and kind of paying attention to one thing for a long amount of time and being quiet and all of that. Yeah, and it's
probably getting harder with attention spans too. I know, probably school teachers talk about that.
Yeah,
we all have it. iPhone brain, to a certain extent, right?
So,
TikTok is now even shorter than Facebook videos used to be. You know what I mean? Is it getting down to 90 seconds concentration time now or something?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's right.
Different,
but it's also having to kind of conform to a particular way of behaving too means that it becomes inaccessible to a lot of people, and not just young people, you know. I mean, we do have, in theatre we do now have relaxed performances and stuff like that, but we've still got a long way to go in terms of accessibility. And so having something that's, in a public space that has all these different ways of actually coming into the experience. So it's not just one kind of access point or one way in. So the kids who, particularly because we are working with kids in this context, there are some who will just rush at an experience and be, all in there right from the beginning. And there are other kids who will spend most of the experience watching from outside and slowly moving towards the thing. And there's 100,000 different ways of approaching that. And it means that they can all do that. Yeah. And that to me is just so exciting, that because, art and art experiences and, expression in that way is so incredibly important to every human being. And I feel like everyone should have the opportunity to have those experiences. So,
So beautiful hearing you say that. Rosie and I were just talking about just before how kind of privileged we were in a way. Like our parents weren't overtly, I guess, artistic. They didn't really have artistic professions, actually school teachers and, parents. But
just an appreciation.
But we feel like we were, given such a strong sense of being able to express ourselves and perform and be creative. And, I learned all this stuff about making with my hands from my mum, and but such freedom and acceptance of performance. Like we put on shows all the time, and we're always allowed to just be and really express who we are, and that there wasn't a right or wrong. Yeah, we weren't allowed to swear, but
same.
But you know what I mean. But I think we were really privileged to have that, and it's influenced us
and an appreciation
so much.
for going to the shows and theatre theatre. Like
Yes,
I remember,
true.
like I mean, growing up in like
even though we're very
country,
rural, we still did,
Queensland,
Yeah.
and driving like Mum and Dad would drive the 2 hours to Brisbane
Did
to
you
watch a
really?
show.
That's so
like I
nice.
remember like so many shows that they'd just drive like the Mikado or whatever, and then
Yeah.
we'd watch it, and then they'd just drive home like late that night.
Also, our
like,
school did too. We went on many
there was a
school
lot
trips
of
to see.
those. Yeah,
And like regional touring with theatre is
Yeah.
get better even now. But there
Yeah.
would be the occasional show that would come through as well.
Yeah.
And I do think, gosh, it impacted us so much.
Yeah.
So was that a part of your childhood as
massive
well?
part.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Where
about
did
it
you
this morning.
grow up?
In Brisbane.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So on kind of acreage on the outskirts of Brisbane. So
Yeah.
Chandler.
So a little
near
bit more rural, but also close enough to the city. Or-
Yeah, like 25 minutes drive from the city or something. Like the local bus still only stopped like 7 minutes drive from my home. So Mum would have to come and pick me up from the local bus. But I was just thinking about it this morning actually, because I mean, my mum is a visual artist. I mean, she never did it as a profession, but she is a visual artist.
Yeah.
She is an incredible painter and drawer, lots of different mediums actually. But but neither of my parents, and my dad was kind of very business minded. They met actually doing ag science at University of Queensland, so both in a kind of a science field.
Yeah.
But my dad has always been very kind of, you need a like something to fall back on. You need to be financially secure. Whereas my mum, and I mean, my dad is incredibly supportive and very proud of what I do. But it just took a little bit longer to come around, which is fair enough.
That it's like, is this going to
Of course.
be enough? Like, what if it doesn't work?
Right.
How they support themselves, how all those
That's it.
fair
All these worries.
thoughts.
Whereas my mum, I mean, I'm my mum's daughter, like in so many ways, and the creativity. I mean, she just always understood it.
She always fostered that.
I was thinking this morning, she would. I did extracurricular drama class, which was probably about 20 minutes drive from our home. And she would come and pick me up from there and then take me to a Stedford's. And she would bring like food. She'd bring a full dinner that she'd made. And I'm not sure what else there was,
for you.
but I remember the baked potatoes wrapped in foil. And we would go and we would sit by the bay in like Wynnum or Manly in Queensland, and I would eat my dinner, and then she'd take me to the Estate.
Wow.
And so she just always was always like always there doing that stuff. And then but both my parents have always loved theatre, and so we were very lucky. Like they would take us to theatre, and when I was a bit older, when I was a teenager. And the rest of because all my the youngest of four, and so all my siblings had left home by this stage. As my kind of birthday and Christmas present, because my birthday and Christmas are really close together, they would buy me a subscription to Queensland Theatre Company and buy themselves one, and
So
we
they
go
could
as
go
a
with
threesome. So we'd see like
that's so
I don't know,
nice.
like 10 shows together through the year. So it was always a date to kind of go with my parents, and that happened for years. Like even after I left home, we'd still do that. When I was still living in Brisbane. So I mean it's a huge privilege, and they, that's not cheap. And
but also they saw that within you, I guess. And so
yeah.
it's to be seen, isn't it? For like to be seen and heard for what your interest and what your passion
and
is
to
from
also
such an
show
early
you
age.
that, like we're
privilege.
into it. Like we will go on this journey with you as well.
Yeah,
to
like
be
it's
like,
legitimate.
I want to go see this with you, to spend time with you. Like
That's it, yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And occasionally my dad would fall asleep during one of us would have to elbow him.
When it got too loud.
He starts snoring. But he loves it. He just fall asleep in a dark room. That's all.
He's a very busy man.
Yeah,
Dads
exactly.
are tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard work.
Yeah. But I feel
so it was no
incredibly
surprise
grateful.
then either that you went to like uni. Was that always like your kind of idea of just like, I'll go to UQ or like and do it?
Exactly. Or like, was there a point where you were like, nah, this is absolutely my career? Or was it sort of just like gradual, like this is what I'm interested in, this is what I'm interested in? Or
it's funny. Moment? I don't, I remember being like a little kid, like maybe 7 or 8, and people saying what they wanted to be when they grew up. And I remember saying I wanted to be a marine biologist, and I had no idea what it meant. I obviously heard it from
Was it one of your sisters maybe or something?
No idea, but it sounded impressive. Yeah. And so I said I wanted to be that, but I never wanted to be a marine biologist.
I think strangely most Queensland kids, for some reason,
I wanted to be a marine biologist too. Me too. But I held on to the dream for quite a long time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I love looking in rock pools, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. I always wanted to do this. Yeah. I don't ever remember a time when I didn't feel like this was who I was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't about, am I going to make it work, or maybe I want to be an actor one day, or maybe I want to make theatre one day. It just, I don't think I even really thought about it. Yeah. It was just like, what path do I take? And when I graduated from high school, I was really little. Like my birthday is in December, and so I was 16 when I finished grade 12.
Oh, wow.
So my whole first year of uni, I was 17. And I did apply for acting school, and thank God I didn't get in because I was too little. It just would have broken me. I don't think, I mean, I would have continued, but I think it would have been really
you mean just
bad.
The maturity level to have that self-confidence yet?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, let's not go into the ins and outs of acting school, but it's really tough.
Interested in it.
It's really tough. And it's also, it's massive days, and it's a lot of discipline. And I don't think I would have gotten the things that I needed to get out of it. And I think so. I was devastated. I remember getting the letter, and I was so devastated.
Yeah.
I didn't
at
get
the
it
rejection
either.
Yeah,
I had the same letter of
rejection. So I went to the University of Queensland, and I did an arts degree, which was perfect because it was like 12 contact hours a week. I did student theatre. I learnt how to rig a light and stage manager thing and appreciate the back and the front of the stage.
I mean,
and all
skills
of the
that have obviously lasted your whole career now as well.
Yeah.
So you sort of fell in, like it was the backup.
It was the
backup plan,
actually,
but it was the total right path. Actually,
it was exactly
for
the right
what
path.
You needed.
Yeah. And then I did honours in drama. My dad really wanted me to do a dep ed for something to fall back on, and I just went and did.
Did
honours.
you do that?
No.
Okay.
No, I just wrote a thesis about it.
I'm doing honours instead, Dad.
Yeah, which still gets you nothing.
Yeah.
And then I had another few years off where I did a bunch of like theatre, and it was a really formative time, like lots of fringe and student theatre, and it was just brilliant. And I met some really, really awesome people that are still in my life. And then I applied for acting school again, and they said, the first time round they said you don't have enough experience, and the second time round they were like, to be honest with you, you probably got too much experience. And I was like, what do you people want?
Trying to offer you a teaching job. Actually, Emily, would you come and run the course? If only.
No, I just, but at that stage I was like 24, and I knew exactly what I wanted out of the course, which I think was really positive.
Yeah.
And
what did you want out of the course then? To get an agent?
No, I wanted. Actually, no. I got into trouble for not contacting the agents.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Showcase.
Yeah, I do, because it's almost like, that's the one thing you're supposed to do, Emily.
No,
It's like call all the agents, because after you do the showcase at the end.
Okay.
So, you go through the 3 years, and then you do this big performance at the end, and they invite all the agents, and and then they like, you're supposed to call the agents and see if they
all those
want to represent you. I'm sure it's probably different now. It must be all different now.
No, it really is not.
Oh, that's horrible.
It really is not. I just witnessed
horrifying.
one last year, and it was really poor little things.
It's quite a stressful time.
It's a terribly stressful
It
time.
sounds like it. If you know, like for those, what was it, 4 year
3 years
course? That
It's
counts
all resting
on this
one
thing.
Yeah.
But
it
to try to
shouldn't.
get an agent.
It shouldn't, and it's not really,
Because
but it
that's
feels like it is. But in actual fact, like any career, it's not. Nothing is based on that one thing. Like,
No,
God,
absolutely not.
I mean,
It's amazing how kind of single focused you become through those kind of things, and how actually, and this is, I just keep trying to tell like emerging artists and young people who are coming through and coming out of those schools and coming into the industry, is like there are so many pathways. Don't keep it focused on that narrow one. Like other doors might open, and walk through them for as long as it feels comfortable and safe, and then if it doesn't, then retract. But otherwise, it like you just might find the thing down the path that you never thought. But I went in because I actually wanted vocal and physical training. That's what I wanted. I mean,
So what does that mean?
Well, I mean,
As someone that doesn't understand what vocal training, so you learn how to sing?
No, like just like how to
work
use
in theatre, to use the
voice.
instrument of your voice.
Right.
Because I had actually I'd gotten an audition at Queensland Theatre Company before I went into acting school, and the comment that they had given me is you have to work on
that
voice. Yeah. And so I was like, right.
Yeah.
But
Oh, you did absolutely get that out of it.
I mean, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I can hear you now. So it works.
Well, I mean, there is amplification, but I also know how to work a microphone, I
guess. Did you ever go back to the Queensland Theatre Company after and be like, yeah, hear me now?
Well, so before I graduated, I got a job there, and also at the other company.
Walked straight off stage at one place and straight onto the stage.
So I was very lucky. I went straight into both of the kind of main stage theatre companies in Brisbane after I graduated.
What a time, eh?
It was really,
Wow.
But I guess that was one reason why I kind of didn't feel the necessity to call that agent. I did get an agent.
But I think it was your instinct of, again, like I think your instinct has served you very well. And hearing about you talking to people who are just starting out, being an artist, being an actor, being a theatre maker, your advice to them seems to be to really trust what comes in front of you and trust the path.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something you've always done really well. Do you feel like you have, or is that something that now you can see that, or have you always lived that? Like, what do you think? Do you think you've gone down the wrong path a lot, and this is how you've learned?
I mean, I think we all have there's always cracks in the path, or there's something that you trip over, or you kind of
Do you wish you had someone to give you that advice? Maybe that's the better question.
I think possibly yes, sooner. Like I think I did have a narrow focus. I think it's kind of par for the course.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you come out and you go, I want this one thing, and you kind of you're really focused on that, and maybe other things are flying by you that could have been a thing as well. But I also think I guess I never really thought about it in those terms, and when you look back, you can start to go, oh yeah, pathways or doors opening or whatever. But I have mostly had this kind of thing where, you know, I'll get a phone call and somebody asks me to do something weird that I've never done before, and I'll go, yeah, oh yeah, sure, of course, I can totally do that, and then put the phone down and go, what am I doing?
Do
and
quickly look up YouTube.
What are some of those weird things?
How to parachute? Oh my god!
Yeah,
can you be an ant? Can you play an ant? Can you make
no problem.
a show about ants?
Yeah. But yeah, and there have been a couple of times where I've gone, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Said yes to
I really shouldn't have done that. But mostly it has actually turned out okay. And it's that, I think that's one thing that it's that same feeling that I get doing live theatre, is that feeling of like, oh my God, what am I doing? The adrenalized kind of like, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I need to turn around and go the other way, and go, no, just keep going. And that forward momentum.
Stepping
and
forward
that,
and,
like, thrilling,
and doing it.
Yeah. So I guess yes. I guess. I mean, I always think I'm a cautious person, but I guess when it comes to the thing that I love, I actually am pretty kind of heart forward.
Yeah. Taking chances.
Absolutely. I think you have to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, certainly in
Definitely.
comedy you have to you talk about the same thing, and I can't imagine like writing the words that I've written, like a piece to say in my own, like doing what you do.
Yeah. And then getting up on stage.
That's wild.
Yeah. But I mean,
you must feel that same thing of like, I love the way you were saying, like, it's sort of this absolute fear and like, what am I doing? I'm totally the wrong place. But then you sort of step forward and then actually you feel like you were in absolutely the right place. And it's like, and it's funny, isn't it?
Sometimes if it goes well.
Yeah. That's exactly
Sometimes there is absolute silence and you're like, well, I was hoping for a laugh, so that didn't work, did it? Let's just move along quickly.
Or everything floats out of your head and you're like,
oh, I know. And then you're like somehow
no idea.
Yeah, like really focusing on like, oh, why is my hand looking like that? And you're like, why am I? Yeah, like
why
something
are these tears
so
coming
trivial.
from my eyes? Is that me?
Yeah, is it raining?
That sound?
I don't know.
yeah.
Who's screaming? Who's screaming? Oh my God, it's me.
Yeah. So that what was that thing? A story from COVID times with the Japanese amusement park with the roller coaster, and there's a sign that said something like, please scream on the inside or something.
Oh, really?
So that they didn't like infect each other. So and I that kind of that's sat with me. I'm not sure whether I'm paraphrasing it, but it was something like that. It was like, I'm like, yeah. No, I can actually relate to screaming on the inside. That's
wow, that's so interesting.
God, that's the title of your memoir.
Please scream on the inside.
Scream on the
Screaming
inside.
on the inside.
Screaming on the inside.
Yikes.
Emily Tomlins screaming on the inside. Oh my God.
It seems like, so you've just, like, your trajectory was kind of like, I mean, maybe you're glossing over the really hard parts, but it's like, oh, it seems like, well, you graduated and then you were like, okay, I've got you. So you just got paid theatre work in these companies, or did you ever have to be like, I need to do something else?
Because I'm glossing over it.
Well, has it ever been a big sacrifice
and
to follow that path,
something.
or in terms of
like
financial
constantly.
hurdles and worry
I mean, it
and
sounds
stress?
like,
does that bother you, or has it?
Not anymore. It used to be really stressful. I think
like 10 years of stress.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
well, like 10
we talk
years
about the investment phase, Razy and I often, and it's like,
okay, is it 10 years?
we're seeing. Well,
I mean, that was a
know.
figure that like from a lot of comedians, it's like, well, it actually takes like 10 years for you to just feel comfortable on stage and comfortable doing, like, having your own voice as well. I think it takes so much time to develop that. A lot of the time, like, you're just emulating someone else. I mean, I know I have weird things that I've actually picked up from other comedians, like turns of phrase and things. I've just spent so much time watching them. So it takes so much time just to even get rid of those outside influences and just actually have your own voice, and for it to be strong enough that you're actually like a very like I don't know. Yeah.
Authentic.
Good comedian.
Well,
authentic comedian.
And original,
yeah.
I guess,
Yeah,
in your
exactly.
own authentic
Because you
way.
need to be original.
Which is what people connect
to
with.
succeed in comedy, really.
Yeah.
Or in anything. I guess you need to have an original voice. So, yeah, a lot of people say, well, it takes 10 years to actually get good. So, yeah. Then,
which on paper is one thing.
Then we are joking about, well, how do you live for that 10 years then?
It's a lot of time. I mean, it's a lot of paying of bills you've got to do and stamina as well, like creative stamina, because obviously there's a lot of roadblocks in that time. It's not a lot of yeses. There's probably more no's than yeses and a lot of like resilience you need to build that.
Definitely. And it's so interesting. You were even saying before how you're like, well, you shouldn't necessarily say no to anything. If something opens that isn't quite what you're after, you should still explore that, which I really look at as well as being like, it can be so fulfilling just to have this other avenue of your life. Like I like work on a farm and it's so different from comedy, but I love it, and I think it actually helps my mental health a lot as well. And I know, talking to a lot of comedians, like, mental health can be a bit of a touchy thing because they're like so invested in this and they just want to be a stand-up comedian, and so they don't do any other work or any other like meaningful work, because the idea of another meaningful work would be like
feels like you're failing or something.
Yeah, that
like
you're giving up on this
or like you're not a professional actor, so to speak.
Exactly. You can't be a professional actor and be a doctor.
And
I don't know.
Eggs from chickens.
Yeah. But so I know a lot of people that have given up their like fullback career or whatever they went to university as. Like some people are very like talented, what's the word? Like, have degrees in like, there's so many lawyers, weirdly enough. A lot of lawyers turn comedians.
Interesting, because it also takes a very long time to do a law degree.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, right.
But then they've given that up to do comedy and they don't want to go back to law. They see that as like, well, I don't know. Cheating isn't the right word, but it's like giving up on your vision. So it's like you don't want to go back to that.
Also, how do you even have time though to do both the things?
Well,
because it's an investment of time. So you've sort of like got to juggle.
Yeah, but then there's this pressure of like, well, you've got to go out. You've got to go do these things. I'm sure with you, it's like you've got to go get the auditions to like actually to do this.
Just creating your own work, which you've always done, takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, it does. It's interesting. I've never put like time on it. I remember, I guess, how long have we lived in Melbourne now? Like 17 years or something. And before leaving Brisbane to come to Melbourne, somebody said to me, how long are you going to give it?
Whoa.
And I was exactly. And I said, give what? And they were like, how long are you going to give it before
giving up?
You failed and you come home again.
What a question.
And I was like, no, I'm going now.
Yeah.
I'm going now. Like that I'm leaving and I'm going and I'm going to make a new home in Melbourne. I'm gone. I'll be home.
It's that thing of like giving it a crack to maybe like go and make your fortune in the big city. But if it doesn't work out,
that's right. Like you'll come crawling home again, and
you'll just be a happy little receptionist or something.
Well, or I mean, because I guess the question kind of came also because at the time that I left Brisbane, I was actually doing really well, you know, in terms of being an actor.
In terms of being an actor in theatre.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, even having said that, you know, like when you are just relying on those kind of gigs, you know, you might get like 2 or 3 a year, you know, like I was really lucky.
It's a small industry. I'm in.
Yeah. And at the time.
Even just in one city.
Well, that's right.
Let alone one theatre company.
No, that's right. And at the time, though, it was quite challenging to make your own work in Brisbane as well. It's quite different now, and there's you know, kind of more support in infrastructure and venues and really interesting things happening there. But at the time it was like, you know, and my partner and I just kind of went, you know, we're not seeing the kind of work that we want to see here, and we're not able to kind of make it as much as we want, and we decided to move to Melbourne. But I think, you know, that was a massive thing for the both of us because we were like 30. And when
did you have jobs lined up here? It was a total
no,
jump. Yeah, wow.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So when we came down here, I spent many years working in call centers, you know, working in I had an amazing bookshop job for a long time. But there are all these I did a lot of really crap jobs. And
still going to auditions or like still trying to like
making theatre at
like
nighttime,
networking
doing
and
all of this stuff, trying to kind of find a community, which took a bit of time. But also weirdly, when I first kind of moved here, I was like, this feels like home. It finally feels like home. I felt like I wasn't kind of as weird as I had felt growing up.
You can relax
your own people.
But it, you know, there has been kind of years and years of doing just the other thing to pay the rent. But it was kind of never, there was actually never a moment. I mean, there's certainly been moments where I've gone, maybe I'll train to be like a celebrant so I can, you know, marry all my friends and, you know, like, and that'd be a good kind of, you know, fallback thing, and it can kind of use my skills, but, you know, do something else, or maybe I'll do this. But each time I would actually even enroll in a course, then I would
get a big job or something else that would take your time and
and so so I just, you know, I kind of I worked.
So you're always kind of ready to like pivot, even though like pivot's an interesting word, but like to do something else as a celebrant, but then you're like drawn back to
but it's not even doing so, like it's just a way of getting like money or being like secure about that, but never
always
leaving
staying
this
on the target of this
never
is what I'm
leaving
doing. This is
who I am. This is what I do. And then there was a point where it was like, oh man, I don't know whether this metaphor is right.
I've forgotten what it's even like to keep to look for the day job stuff.
I can take the parachute off. I actually don't need to be wearing this anymore.
What a feeling.
Which is, you know, I'm very lucky, but that's also because I have gone through a bunch of those doors. So now, you know, I make theatre for young audiences. I make theatre, you know, for adults. I do a lot of independent theatre. I have a lot of lovely, beautiful lifetime collaborators. I'm very, very grateful and lucky for that. I run my own independent theatre company with my partner, Marcel. I teach, you know, so there's like all of the things are part of the same thing for me, but it is kind of diversified in terms of like, and all of that stuff makes up being able to, you know, pay my rent. But I still pay rent. I don't own my own house. Like that probably won't be a thing. But it's kind of never, it's who I am. Yeah. It's just the thing that I am. So I can't, you know, you just figure out how to make it work. Yeah. I mean, I at certain points in my life, I have actually kind of gone, I really wish that I was into something else.
Yeah. Has there ever been another thing that you've sort of gone like, I wish when I was 18 I was really into, I guess, not marine biology. There's no real alternative. I can't imagine you doing another. I mean, not that you wouldn't be fantastic as another thing, but.
I mean, you know, like in another life, maybe I'd like to like grow grapes and make wine or something. You know, like
something really like with your hands.
And I mean, I would love to. Well, that's right.
Something kind of slow and organic.
Although, I mean, you know, that sounds incredibly
pretty
stressful
dirty.
too. Yeah. You know, if they have drought or flood or something, it's just like that's incredibly
I thought it was just drinking wine. And like living at a winery, cellar door. Those cellar doors are always so nice.
I know, right? Just a cat by a fire and me with a glass of wine. Sounds perfect. But Yeah, not really. I mean, there's, I admire so many people and their minds and the different things that they do, but there's just no.
Wow. I think it's interesting that you two, because you went to uni together, but then Ada's definitely veered more into I can't even remember the last time you did theatre. You've veered more into film and TV, and you've even said
can't even remember the last time.
it's been a long time.
I often make that joke.
Yeah, but that you're not you're not drawn to live performance.
Well, I'm definitely not at this stage of my life, but actually that just happened accidentally. And when I started out,
whereas you,
when
Emily,
I went to uni,
very much more like you're theatre driven instead
totally.
Yeah.
I think life has just taken me down a different direction, and I just walked through the different door. Actually, But even when we were at drama school together, I can remember thinking, "Yep, I'd love to just work as a professional theatre actor in Brisbane forever for the rest of my days."
Oh, really?
That is what I want to do. And I didn't. I got a job in TV in Sydney.
Yeah, and before we graduated too.
Before we graduated, that's right. And so I sort of had to make the split second kind of I'm in fucking I'll do that. And so I did that. And it actually just then, went through the next door and the next door and the next door. And there's been a couple of shows, but I've really mostly gone down this TV avenue, which I've really loved and enjoyed and explored.
Yeah.
And now I think because of my small children lifestyle, I don't know, I don't feel attracted in the same way to theatre because of the performance schedule of it. But maybe massive. More like something that, I mean, you spend a lot of time away and a lot of time travelling too with Polyglot. And
yeah.
So it's just a very different, it's a very different job.
Yeah,
I think,
it seems like it.
Yeah.
Totally different.
But I certainly aspire to the satisfaction that you get out of it and the being able to create something. And I think I'm certainly there's certainly something in it. I think at some point in my future I'd love to do something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Something so empowering that you can make all the decisions as well. Oh, well, I mean, I don't know where.
Well, it depends on what you
you don't
Can you decide when you go to the toilet?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And if
you've got a good boss.
Listener, if you're in a room where people won't let you go to the toilet, get out of that room. It is not a safe room. And this is a big one
This
for
is
me.
actually true, right?
Sometimes your kids do hold you hostage.
That's true. Well, they just follow me into the toilet. Well, it's more just I can't go to the toilet alone. But that's okay.
That's a different thing.
They're my children, so it's quite all right.
That's right.
Yes. But I think that, I think often empowerment doesn't come easily in this industry, and particularly, I found as an actor and I still find, it's quite hard because I don't direct my jobs and I don't create all of my own work. And so I often have this real thing of when I'm not working, am I still an actor? And that's sort of waiting for someone else. And I really struggle with it because doesn't really fit with my personality so well. But I've always been saved by a job and then I've gone into the next one, you know. So I guess I've not really been challenged enough to do it or something, but I feel really jealous because I think you have found a way to feel really empowered by your own career. And does it feel that way from the inside?
Yeah. I mean, mostly I think, I've been in a bunch of situations which have felt the absolute opposite in my career. And I think now
when you were younger or recently?
No, when I was younger.
You didn't feel the the power or the confidence to be able to go in a different direction or to be able to speak what you thought would be more creative, a better creative choice or whatever.
Yeah, look, our industry is wide and varied, and there are certain cultures that a lot of us are trying to change or get rid of completely in terms of a hierarchy, and so there have been rooms in which my voice has not been important at all, and that's a terrible feeling, and that's not for me. That's not. That can't encourage any kind of creativity or, you know, so
or foster new voices.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So are you meaning more about like the Melbourne scene or Australia in general?
The culture
no,
of
I'm talking about the culture in general, you know, like
theatre shows.
Well, yeah,
and any art
in film, and you know, I mean, I'm talking about, you know, power imbalance.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's one of the things that I really love now about being a director is trying to change the culture of that space. So, you know, as I said before, like safety is incredibly important to me. And so, you know, my belief is that if everyone feels safe and empowered in a room and they feel heard and they feel appreciated for who they are and what they can bring to the room, then what's going to happen in that room is going to be incredible and much richer and more satisfying for everyone than if those people didn't feel that way. But it's a power thing, and some people you know, find power more important than making something beautiful. And I just, you know, so it's really important to me to kind of also talk to young artists who are coming through to kind of go, you don't, you know, like one job is not the make or break. You know, sometimes you feel it can be so powerless and you go,
and that you
I'm going to
have
put
to
up
do
with
this to get like
I'm
where
going
you
to put
want
up
to
with
go.
this in the room because if I don't, I'll never get a job
never
again.
work with
and
them
it's
again.
that's not true. You know, like it just can't be true anymore. I'm not going to, you know, not in my rooms, not in the world that I want to see. And so many people,
like
you know.
Harvey Weinstein, Miramax stuff, isn't it? You know,
so,
like you'll never work for them again. That's what I want.
And I mean, you know, and that was
told.
true for a whole bunch of women.
Yes,
you know, I mean,
absolutely. That's what I'm sort of saying is like that idea has been perpetuated and used so much to disempower people and make people scared and not given.
And look, speaking up
voices.
is its own terror, and you know, and sometimes that's not a possible thing either. It's all of it is really hard. But I guess all I'm saying is, and I'm not, you know, I know that, you know, we have a very, very long way to go for everyone to feel welcome into a room. But I guess I'm just saying that the rooms that I want to set up and that I want to be a part of now have to include, you know, safety and empowerment for everyone. And if that's not the case, then I just
don't want to be a part of it.
No,
well,
that's not
I'm
a door
sure
I'm opening.
So many people as well that would come, because now you're in that position of power, I guess, like, you know, as being the director that people would go to, that you're making that change, and people working with and for you will feel that like, oh, actually this is really good. I don't need to accept this other way for their like future career.
That is
that it's
how
like, well, this is an easier path to be, and this person's doing like more meaningful work and getting more meaningful work out of me, because I'm sure they like just, I mean, how could you not work better if you feel safer and you feel like your voice is being heard and everything? So that's I'm sure you're changing the industry.
Well, look, I'm not, you know, I mean, there's a whole bunch of amazing people who are doing incredible work, and you know, it's but I just think we all need to kind of keep not accepting that horrible stuff that has gone past. It's just not, it's not good enough. That's not the culture that should be existing. And it's a tough one. But I guess if there are, as you say, if there are, you know, examples of a better thing, then maybe, you know,
definitely.
Maybe
and I
that
think
will
all
help.
those younger artists who are working with you and who do see the way that you operate, then, you know, they know that it's okay, and I think, I feel good having you. You're doing that stuff, because I think it's the way that change does happen, although it feels like you're probably banging your head against the wall sometimes.
Yeah.
Takes a while for it's sort of a generational change in a way, isn't it?
And it's so hard when you're coming out, because I mean, this industry is just like, you know, it like as we've been talking about, it's so hard, and there are so many people trying to do it.
Yes,
and so
many people
like
telling you you're not good enough. You know,
oh yeah.
I mean, it just happens again and again and again. Even the drunk person at the pub who tells you you're not good enough. It happens.
Like you're just putting out all these auditions, and it must feel so like it's a real hard thing to have to hear. Like just no, a lot of the time you're just waiting for that. Yes, it's just like incredibly hard part of the industry.
Yeah,
like,
so I just feel like
confidence.
That's why mistreatment can happen, because people want it so much that they're kind of willing to put up with terrible things in order to get it. And it just like breaks my heart, because it's happened to us, and it's happened to the people that we love, and we've observed it happening. And, when I was younger, I would keep quiet about it too, because like all of it was scary. So I just really
sort of, although I've got to say, Em, like I really feel so grateful that we were at uni together, because, you, like you were talking about before, you had done some theatre, you were still doing independent sort of productions while we were studying, and I had come almost straight out of school, so I was a lot younger, and there was a lot of misogyny that was happening in those days at drama school. And I do feel like I remember sort of like looking to you and going like, is this right? Okay that they're saying this? And you sort of going like, no way. So okay. Even though like sometimes we didn't vocalize it, I think like I knew that you were there.
We held each other through a lot.
We held each other through a lot, and it does make a difference actually, that sort of solidarity. And I just hope that, the tide is turning ultimately. Yeah, me too. It feels like I often, we were sort of talking about this a little bit before, but like as artists you care so much about what you're doing, and in order to be really original or to create something, you do have to connect authentically to yourself and how do you do it when you're having a really hard time personally? How do you keep going? Because we all have it. We're all human, and we all go through really sad time, just different times in our life. Yeah. Hard times for our relationship, hard times. Creative jobs is you have to believe in yourself, because you're putting yourself out there. It's so hard to compartmentalize it. So like, how do you get on stage every night and do something when actually you're going through something really hard in your personal life? You have to like push it down and to the side. Exactly. Like you can't just sort of take a sabbatical all of the time. Like no, you kind of need to keep going, and it can be very difficult. A lot of people really struggle. A lot of my friends, a lot of my colleagues have really struggled to clock on and like do mindless, like, I don't know, like data entry. Like it's very like it must be hard to compartmentalize. And I know I struggle with it. And I wondered if you, it's an interesting question, because in a way, I think that the thing that I do actually, like more often than not, actually helps me get through those times. So sort of channeling. Yeah, I guess so. You're going through. Yeah, and just like, so not like putting the feelings aside, but like using them, not pushing, like not pushing it down in a really. That's interesting. I have never heard 5 of this. PM to explode. How fascinating! Yeah, that's very strange. Tell me how you do this, Alien. No. Is that the wrong answer? Oh, wow. No, it's just absolutely like not. That's admired that you're so in touch with yourself. Well, I mean, maybe I'm just kidding myself completely. But no, I guess, I mean, obviously there are times where, particularly in theatre, where you're doing a show and you have to kind of miss something or pull out of the show to, Yes. Yes,
but in
that is
terms
a
of
big reality of the job.
it is. Yeah, you kind of have to keep going, and that
You miss a
has
lot of
been
friends'
hard.
weddings. You miss a lot of funerals.
Yeah, I've missed funerals. I've missed weddings. I've missed.
Yes.
Yeah,
just because you're a part of a show, a production that like you can't, you don't want to let people down, or
you can't call in sick necessarily.
Yeah,
you can't get them to rearrange.
Like there's not that flexibility at all.
Look, things have changed a little bit since COVID. I feel like things are a little bit different now because there is, there kind of is this sense of like actually life is more important than a show. So, it really depends on what the project is. And certainly with like companies like Polyglot, they'll go above and beyond to just kind of help you be in whatever mode you need to be in. But in terms of like if I'm going through something, but, I'm kind of not missing anything, but I'm going through something, I just like being able to do what I do is the one thing that keeps me going, like I actually, and channeling and kind of, I guess I am really lucky these days also to be able to choose kind of rooms and companies and collaborators that are completely open to me arriving as who I am. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like they know that I'll do my job, whatever it is. But one of the things about kind of, safety in a room that I'm really kind of devoted to is checking in. And, and that can be kind of, as little as saying, I don't.
Like with each individual.
Yeah. So like, at the start of a day, acknowledging the land that we're on and then checking in with everyone. And it can be like, I don't feel like checking in today, or it can be, I'm great. I saw a puppy on my way here this morning and I watched this great television show last night. Or it could be I'm falling apart and I need your help today, but I'm really glad to be here. And it just, for me, that just, as a director, I always do this because it's like we are human beings. We can't leave everything outside the room. We can't. Like we never can. We are holding all of the things that we move through life with. And as artists, like to be able to acknowledge that and kind of move forward from that point is actually a great kind of privilege and once again can kind of enrich something. Like, to deny it is like you're kind of blocking things, and that pushing that down stuff is kind of not healthy.
Yeah.
Just to let you know.
Yes, well, it's also like the bedrock of creativity.
Exactly.
Is the thing that's there, that little fire, those embers of something. Right. You don't ever really know where it's going to go. So once you start denying those instincts and those feelings, I think you're in real trouble. Yeah.
And it's not,
which is that
this
feeling
is not
of
about
when you're
like
not safe. You can't trust them.
That's right.
Sorry,
and it's not about kicking off from that trauma either. It's just about acknowledging that, we are human and I'm struggling today, so I might need a bit more help because you can kind of get into a room and somebody's like a bit kind of edgy and you don't know why, and maybe it was your fault. And if we all just sit down and go, actually, I just I had this really terrible experience on the way to work this morning, or, this person in my life is struggling or whatever it is, then we go, yeah, or I've got bad diarrhea. Yeah, I'm going to be leaving the room every 10 minutes. Please don't think it's you.
It's you. That's it's right.
Me. Yeah.
And then we can
there's
all
this smell that I can't control.
Exactly. Yeah, but then we can all just support each other in that and still be there. And so you can go through a hard thing, but you're still doing what you love, and you're surrounded by people who get it and are fine with it and are there if you kind of crumple.
And that it's not a big deal.
And
you're able to make the theatre, and which is your long-term career.
Exactly. So I'm not just sitting at home kind of feeling isolated. And
it's sustainable. It's sustainable because you're making the theatre even though you're going through this thing.
Yeah. So I guess that's the answer to the question. I kind of actually find it kind of more important in the hard times in a way. It's but always kind of prefacing that with saying that I am now privileged to kind of choose those situations that I'm in, and I haven't always been in that position.
Being able to, yeah.
Me neither. I would say often not. Emily, would you recommend this job to someone else? I think I know the answer, but
this job that I do?
Yeah. This job of making theatre.
Yes, absolutely. But it's funny, I remember when we were at acting school, somebody said to us, you probably remember this, if you can do anything else, do that. And whilst I find that like, I guess I'm not sure about that advice anymore. I think at the time I thought that was kind of cool. But now I'm like, if this is what you want, if this is what you love, then do it. Like, it's going to be hard, but everything is.
Yeah.
And the reward and the kind of like what you get back from it is a million times the output in the end, really. Like that's, I mean, people will say I've drunk Kool-Aid, but I just like it is.
Well, it's also not something that you could just switch off, like, either. It's
This
that,
is
it's
it,
that kind of
Raymond.
idea
This is it.
that it's like,
Exactly.
how long are you going to give it before you
Exactly.
Like,
give
how
up?
are you
And, like,
going to
well, you
give it
can't.
being Emily Tomlins?
Look,
You know,
maybe
it's sort of like
a few more years.
when you're going to stop being you.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, I would recommend it. Absolutely. I love what I do.
person?
I get to work with incredible people. I get to see new artists come up and do amazing things and blow my mind. I get to laugh and create, and I get to travel the world and, work with communities who have, kind of not been listened to, who are getting to express themselves, and I get to see little kids discover the beauty and excitement of art and expressing themselves. Absolutely, I would recommend this job.
Hells yeah.
Yeah.
Em, we're so lucky to have you here.
Thanks, Emily. This
Thank
was really
you
fun.
so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming and sitting.
I feel
with
like I
us.
wasn't funny enough. I feel like I went just like to really serious stuff.
We'll just put a laugh track over everything.
Please do.
Yeah, was there anything you wanted to plug? Where can people find you? Like, as in, I don't know, social
Could you plug
media?
yourself back
Is
in?
there anything? Yeah. Like, I guess not. I mean, as a comedian, you've got to like, it's like you've got a social media. You've got to like have all these like,
I'm terrible
stupid
at
things.
that,
I
Raymond.
hate it too. But it's something that like
I don't even have a website. I'm not even. I have an Instagram account that I've never posted from.
So really? So do you just follow people? Like, as in you
I follow a couple of people, but I have like something like 600 followers, but I've never ever done a post. It's now an art project of mine. I think if I get to 1,000 followers,
to never do a post.
Well, if I get to 1,000 followers, I'll do one
experiment.
post.
Yeah.
So I don't really.
There you go,
Don't have
everyone.
anyone
Follow
to
Emily
plug.
Tomlins.
Yeah, okay.
But my theatre company is called Elbow Room, and I work for the incredible Polyglot. So if anyone listening has young people in their life, you can look up Polyglot, and we do a lot of local things, and then we also travel quite a bit. And then I don't know what else. That's, and then I'm just around.
That's it. Yeah.
Just like jogging around an oval somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, I just did a half
Just say
marathon.
hi.
Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so proud of myself.
Oh my
Good on you.
gosh.
How? What is the half marathon?
21.1 Ks.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
Tomo.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah. I feel great. I got a medal and everything.
Oh,
So
really?
excited.
Amazing.
Thanks very
Wow.
much.
Oh, we should have talked
Are you going to do
about
another one?
Yeah.
Like, is that, are you,
I'm that
it's quite a
person
thing,
now.
right?
Yeah, I'm
you
that
kind of
person
get
now.
addicted to doing it. It's
addicted to the run.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks very much.
I'm still trying to do
Thanks,
couch to 10K. No, couch to 5K.
Oh.
I've been trying to get to 5K
Look
for a
at your
few
terror
years.
when you said 10K.
Yeah.
Oh
gosh.
No. Settle down.
Many injuries. I'm working my way back up.
Yeah, you
from
can
the
do it.
couch.
Yeah. I'm still on the couch.
Run a half marathon with me in 3 years.
Okay.
Great.
I could do that. 3 years.
Okay, you've heard it here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
This is
Packed.
That'll be your
Okay,
first post.
I'll do it.
That will
on
be my
Instagram.
first post. Exactly.
You
That'll
and
be my
Ada
first marathon.
crossing the finish line.
That's
Yes.
it.
Okay.
That's a deal.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thank you for listening. If you liked us, please tell a friend or two. Apparently that's how these things work. We want to acknowledge the incredible stories, culture, resilience and creativity of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, in particular the beautiful lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nations, where this podcast is recorded. Thank you also to Chris Pickering for the music and Vincent Pickering for the logo and animations. And yes, they are our brothers. We're everywhere.